A little over 3 years ago, Audi introduced the very sexy and very powerful e-Tron GT nameplate to the States back in 2021. Now this car, when it launched, was a big deal for Audi because it was the brand's very first fully electric four-door sedan here in America, and it was built off of the excellent Porsche Taycan architecture. Now, the electric super sedan space continues to be red hot with new competitors from Lucid and of course the Tesla Model S Plaid. So for 2025, Audi, just like Porsche, is significantly upgrading the e-Tron GT. And while the outside may look pretty similar to the 2024 model, underneath the skin, Audi has completely revised this vehicle with brand new electric motors, a new battery pack which has improved the range and significantly improved the power with this RS e-Tron GT performance version offering up to 912 horsepower. So as you can see, this week we are testing out this absolutely stunning Ascari Blue 2025 RS e-Tron GT performance. And the big question I want to answer for those of you who are looking for the ultimate fast four-door that can make quick work of all those pesky supercars on the road, has Audi managed to create the ultimate four-door saloon car with the new e-Tron GT RS performance? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the slight exterior styling changes that Audi has made, this is a fully electric vehicle built on the 800-volt architecture. So the big question a lot of people want to know with EVs, does this vehicle have a frunk? And just like the Taycan, as you can see, there is actually a pretty sizable front storage area that you can put a couple of items in. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, it's pretty much a well-finished area here. This is around 1.8 cubic feet in terms of the storage space. There's a little bit of a deeper storage well, which is actually a nice surprise. There's also an LED light here, and you also have a little emergency escape hatch in here in case you're a really small person and you happen to be stuck in the front trunk area. This is actually the mobile charger that comes with the vehicle. So that's a nice feature that you don't have to necessarily pay extra for. But since we're underneath here, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs, because all e-Tron GTs essentially got a big boost this year. First of all, the battery is now larger, up to 103 kilowatt hours, which is up from the 93.7 in the pre-refresh model. The battery actually has a revised chemistry, and it is about the same size as the old battery pack, but it actually fits in the same space, even though it offers more energy density. So again, that's a win. This is the RS model. The base version is the S e-Tron GT. The S e-Tron GT has dual electric motors just like this, so they all have quattro all-wheel drive. 670 horsepower in the base version. However, on the RS version, when you guys have it in launch or boost mode, Audi says you get up to 912 horsepower. Now, if you don't actually have it in launch or boost mode, the output drops to 818. Still, that is a big jump versus the 522 and 637 that you got on the pre-refresh model. Audi says that's all courtesy of the new battery and the brand new rear electric motor that delivers an extra 275 horsepower. And that power output figure essentially puts it in between the power outputs of a Porsche Taycan Turbo and a Taycan Turbo S. Audi says with that two-speed automatic transmission, technically it has two transmissions, a one-speed in the front motor, a two-speed in the back that's supposed to give you even quicker acceleration at higher speeds. The company claims this model should get to 60 in 2.4 seconds, which is a big improvement versus the 3.1 that they quoted on the pre-refresh model. The top speed of this vehicle is still limited to 155 miles an hour, a little bit slower, of course, versus its Porsche cousin. And this vehicle runs on the 800-volt architecture, which means you can now charge it a little bit faster, up to 320 kilowatts versus 270, meaning you can go from 10 to 80% in about 18 minutes. So it's around 4 minutes faster than previous generations. Range for this model has also improved to 278 miles. That's a 20% improvement versus the 232 that we had in the 2022 version that we last tested. The base S e-Tron GT can do up to 300 miles of range. We'll talk about the real world range later on. And as this vehicle sits, it's a pretty heavy electric vehicle, still weighing in at just over 5,100 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up the front trunk storage and talk about the rest of the styling. Now, first of all, this color is a new blue that Audi introduced a couple of years ago. It's new for the e-Tron GT, however. It's called Ascari Blue. It's an extra $600, I believe. And I have to say, it is a stunning color. Now, when you have it in direct sunlight, you can really see some of the metallic fleck and the almost purple hue to it in this kind of cloudy situation here. Well, it's not really cloudy. It's just kind of like the sun is setting because it's a little bit late. You can see the blue doesn't have really the metallic fleck, but it is certainly very, very beautiful. It flows really nicely with the lines of the e-Tron GT. In fact, from this angle here, the car is literally giving me four-door R8 vibes. It's very low and wide. It's around 77.4 inches wide. It's about the same width as the Taycan. You can see you have their signature full LED headlights with their laser light technology, which also includes an LED daytime running light and turn signal with sequential turn signals. I really like the new front bumper that Audi has given on this vehicle. You can see compared to the pre-refresh model, which actually almost looked like it had a mask on because this whole front fascia area here was blacked out. I like how Audi has now added basically a body-colored painted portion for the front grille. It's got the new Audi logo, which honestly, their new logo should illuminate. I don't like how it doesn't illuminate. The front bumper also looks different where you have larger air intakes. Obviously, you have the radar sensors there for the adaptive cruise, and you also have the front camera system. My test car has the forged carbon package, so you can see you've got exposed forged carbon fiber along the lower splitter here, along with these functional air intakes. Intake openings. You have nicely integrated parking sensors, and overall I think the new front end, while it is very subtle, makes this car look a lot better versus the pre-refresh model, which had basically the all black face. This just looks more like an R8. It looks low and wide, and it really actually looks like a two-door until you start moving around to the side profile, because this vehicle is built off the same architecture as the Porsche Taycan. However, unlike the Porsche, which also offers a wagon, this car only comes as a four-door sedan, a traditional sedan with a traditional trunk. Its wheelbase is 114.2 with an overall length of 196.7. So this is actually around an inch longer than a Taycan four-door sedan, although the Taycan Cross Turismo is a little bit longer versus this vehicle. You can see Audi has also updated the wheels. I did not like the wheels on the pre-refresh model. However, these are the 6 double-spoke RS designed wheels. They're included with the forged carbon package. The forged carbon package also, as you can see, has these big brakes. Now, my test car has the Dynamic Plus package, which rolls in the big carbon ceramics. Those are 16.1 inches in diameter in the front, 14.5 in the rear, clamped down by anthracite painted 6-piston calipers. So again, insanely large brakes for a vehicle that can hit high speeds like this, and it's as fast as it is, it better have really good brakes. I also like the finish on the wheels with the carbon package, which have kind of like a bicolor look to them. It's riding on a 265 by 35 ZR21 tire in the front, and even fatter 305s in the rear. Keep in mind the S e-Tron has a tire that's around 20 millimeters thinner, so kind of keep that in mind. This particular model that we're also showing you has the Dynamic Plus package, so it also includes their very adaptive damper control suspension, which is basically Audi's version of Porsche's active ride control suspension. We'll talk about that later on. Now, as you can see, the charge port door is actually on both sides. So you get one here on the driver's side. This is where you're going to find the J1772 plug. On the other side, you'll find the J1772 and CCS combo. And like I said earlier, this vehicle can now accept up to 320 kilowatts on a DC fast charger, up from 270, shortening the time from 23 minutes to 18 minutes to go from 10 to 80%. It has a 9.6 kilowatt onboard charger. It'll take roughly 12 hours to charge this thing on a level 2. With the forged carbon package, you can see you also get the forged carbon fiber on the mirrors. These are power folding with integrated turn signals, cameras throughout. Audi has been essentially stamping their model name on the bottom of the A pillar there, which is definitely a cool touch. And then you can see with the forged carbon package, you also get the forged matte finish carbon fiber roof, which significantly strengthens the vehicle, lowers the center of gravity. You can get back a glass roof if you guys don't get this option, which has electrochromatic panels, which you can actually customize to create a different signature, which is similar to the Taycan. I personally would rather have that to have more light come into the cabin. And then moving over to the rear, you can see this vehicle is about the same size as an Audi A6, but it just looks so much more exotic because it's so low and wide. It has really fat tires. It has, like, again, a supercar sportback appearance to it. The rear actually looks pretty similar to a pre-refresh model. You can see the taillights, full LED light bar, which I love. You can see the turn signals are also sequential. They have a really interesting light signature to them. The badging back here has also been blacked out with the new Audi badge there, the RS badge, and then of course the e-Tron GT badge. I'm surprised this car didn't get a new name to kind of go with Audi's newer naming nomenclature with their EVs, but I appreciate how this still is called an e-Tron GT. The rear diffuser also very aggressive looking. It also has the exposed carbon fiber there, which again, that carbon fiber package is around $8,400. So you're certainly getting your money's worth in terms of carbon fiber all over the vehicle. And then in terms of the cargo capacity, this is a traditional sedan with a power opening and closing trunk. And Audi says you have around 9.2 cubic feet of storage space with that trunk open. As you can see, it's pretty usable. You have some pretty deep storage areas to each side of the trunk. You also have a little bit of an underfloor storage area underneath this floor, although it's not as deep as some of its competitors. Thankfully, the seats do actually fold down in a 40-20-40 arrangement with a center pass-through, so that's kind of unexpected. But as you can see, compared to something like a Model S or a Lucid Air, which has a larger rear trunk and a front trunk, the Audi e-Tron GT is certainly going to be a little bit, I guess, cramped, although you can get the Taycan Cross Turismo if you guys want this platform and you want the most cargo space. So while the outside of the new e-Tron GT RS Performance doesn't look all that different compared to a pre-refresh model, the interior also pretty much follows that same philosophy. Now, before we get inside, as you can see, here is the key fob for the vehicle. You can see this is Audi's current intelligent access fob. It's a pretty simplified key. There is an RS badge on the back to let you know you have a special model along with the panic button. You can see there's usual buttons here for lock, pop open for the trunk. It's a power trunk lid as well, and unlock. And it also has the newer Audi logo there with their 4 rings, obviously. I don't believe this car has any kind of phone as a key functionality, although if you're an owner, you probably have access to the Audi app where you should be able to remote start the vehicle as you approach the car. Unlike a lot of EVs which have those pop-out door handles, you can see this car has a very traditional setup. You basically touch this area here, that will lock the door for you. That also will electrically fold in the mirrors with the signature Audi chirp. But the other cool thing about this car is my test car has the Dynamic Plus package, which rolls in their Audi Active Damper Control Suspension, which is their version of Porsche's Active Ride Control Suspension. I want you to notice this. As I open the door and open it, or as I unlock the door and open it, which, as you guys saw, the suspension on this side of the vehicle essentially rose itself up a solid like 2 inches, and it did it really fast. So let me show you again. I'll close the door and the car will lower itself. And that's a really cool trick feature that is all part of that Audi Active Damper Control Suspension, which essentially combines an air suspension with electro-hydraulic dampers or actuators that basically make the vehicle suspension rising up at lightning fast speeds. We'll talk about that later on during the driving scene. Again, I open the door and the car raises itself up to help shorter people get into this vehicle where you don't have to fall in. Now, as you can see, my particular test car has the Ascari Blue with the black premium Napa leather interior. You can see this interior. These seats basically look like they were taken from a Porsche Taycan. They're almost the same seats with the Audi RS logo embroidered, or I guess it's just a plastic piece on the actual seat back. It has this really cool texture with the gray accent stitching. That's part of that gray accent package that my test car has. These seats adjust, I believe, in like 14 different ways. They are heated, ventilated, and massaging on both sides. However, the driver only gets the 2-person memory, which I think at this price point you should have gotten memory on the passenger side as well. The forged carbon fiber also is kind of carried over onto the actual sills there and onto the rest of the interior. As you can see, the door panel has some real leather with gray contrast stitch, that beautiful forged carbon fiber with the Alcantara on this lower portion here. This door handle here, however, I will say feels kind of cheap and plasticky. I would have preferred this to be real metal as opposed to the plastic. It's nice and padded over here. You have really high quality window controls. Obviously, they're one touch for all 4. It is slightly padded down here with a little bit of additional storage, which again is all very nice. My test car also has the Bang & Olufsen stereo, which sounds incredible because this car is again fully electric. You'll be listening to an audio system if you get tired of listening to the fake electric sounds. But as you can see, stepping inside, it still has a pretty low step-in height, even though it raises itself up. And the low roofline in this car requires even short people like myself to duck when I get into the vehicle. Now, closing the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk. Sadly, still no soft close feature. Once I get in, as you can see, the car basically knows I'm ready to drive because I have the key fob on me, so it started itself up. And really the only indication that this is the new version is basically the new software for the Virtual Cockpit Plus 12.3-inch display, and you also have this new steering wheel. The new steering wheel has a flat bottom and a flat top design. It's got the new anthracite-looking Audi logos, which a lot of people have expressed their dislike for it. I'm kind of indifferent to it, although I do like the brighter chrome look of the old logo. This really should light up, I think, to kind of give it a little bit more, I guess, presence to it. You have these metal paddles behind the wheel, which is nice. And this new steering wheel, again, looks and feels more like an Audi RS product. You have the gray accent here at the 12 o'clock position. You have a new button here for boost, and you have your RS drive mode selector here where you can cycle between RS1, RS2, and then it also goes into an RS performance and then back to your original comfort or sport, whatever modes. Your drive mode selector is still over here. That boost gives you the full 912 horsepower for 10 seconds. And you also have a power tilt telescoping wheel. This control control mechanism underneath the wheel here is lifted directly from Porsche, as are the actual power seat controls. They are lifted from Porsche. I also really appreciate the massaging seat function. As you can see, there's looks like 4 different types of massages with 3 different types of intensities. It all is very nice. It's standard on this car, as it should be, considering the price point. As you can see, you have a heads-up display on this model, which is great for kind of getting quick glances at your speed. There's beautiful leather and Alcantara on this upper portion and on this portion as well. I don't love the piano black plastic trim here, which again attracts fingerprints and smudges, but I do love the forged carbon fiber here. I also have seen this interior with wood. If you guys go for the S e-Tron GT as opposed to this RS model, you have dual zone climate control, and then you have a 10.1-inch infotainment display. Now, this is not Audi's newest software that I showed you guys in the Q6, but it does still have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's relatively easy to use, quick and snappy, but there were times where the system did freeze and refused to connect to my phone. So those were kind of instances where it reminded me that this is the older system. If I put the car into reverse, you can see there's your backup camera, full 360 camera actually with parking sensors, trajectory. It also has an automatic parallel parking feature. If you push that button, it'll activate that, where you can tell the car to find a parking spot. It'll park for you. There's your full 3D perimeter scan, which, as you can see, has really good graphics resolution. The screen's just looking a little bit small. But again, if you guys, prefer a more traditional system with actual buttons, this car will certainly give that to you. A lot of the newer Audis, again, have that big curved display, which I actually think doesn't look as premium. It looks a little bit too similar to what everyone else is doing. The dash vents, you can see, are traditionally manual to adjust them, which I appreciate. You have your drive mode selector here. You can see in addition to the RS modes, you also have efficient, comfort, and dynamic. The pre-refresh model didn't even have the RS mode, so kind of keep that in mind. That also helps to improve this car's, legibility or validity as an RS model. You can see you can adjust the suspension height there, the sound profile, kind of adjust it to your liking. It'll show you the level of the air suspension there. I love that. And then this car also has, when you go into vehicle, a new RS monitor mode, which the old one, again, didn't have that. This is something that I experienced in the RS3 and in the RS7. Obviously, it can really only show you the battery and the tire temperature. The other, and there, of course, your tire pressure monitoring. The other Audis RS models also had, obviously, your engine temperature, which this car doesn't have an engine. It does show you a little range monitor here. That seems kind of silly for an RS monitor, but again, it works pretty well. Go into the seats there. This is where you can kind of adjust the actual bolstering for the seats. You can go to the passenger side, obviously. The graphics and resolution is pretty good, and again, it's all relatively easy to use. Now, there is a dual zone climate control function here with your heated and cooled seats, which you can turn on at the same time. I love how it's actually a hard button with the traditional clicks. You can see the gear selector is this interesting little, not even a knob, it's like a square plastic piece that you push up to go to reverse, back down to go to drive, push this P button to go to park. This is to actually activate the automated parallel parking, so you have to remember that it's this P to go into park. A little storage area over here, along with your little volume scroll wheel here. This is the same as last year's version. Piano black plastic trim, cup holders, and you can see there's a padded center console. This is not the largest console area. In fact, there's 2 USB-C charging ports in here and a wireless phone charging pad. This doesn't even fit my iPhone 14 or 16 Pro Max, so that's kind of annoying. They should have redesigned this area here to have a more usable center console or wireless charger, so I wish they had done that, but they didn't. You can see the seats, like I said earlier, they're basically lifted out of a Taycan. They're pretty comfortable and supportive. Love the premium Napa leather with the contrast stitch. It looks good, which is nice. The glove compartment, you can see, is huge. It goes into the dash, it's stamped, and it's lined with felt. The ambient lighting in here also looks pretty intricate. I love how the e-Tron GT badge lights up. You can also change the color to your liking. As well in the infotainment system. The headliner, as you can see, is covered in an Alcantara material with no sunroof option. It does have a little bit more headroom, but it certainly isn't a lot, although I'd say I probably have a solid maybe 3 inches of additional clearance, so keep in mind if you're pretty tall, a helmet could be a little bit of a tight squeeze in here if you take this to the track. But overall, as you can see, it's still a pretty nice interior with their older tech, but high build quality, and it also feels very much like you're in something very special, especially with the new steering wheel. But I don't particularly love the actual touch sensitive buttons here, which can be a little bit annoying. You can, again, adjust the way this looks. You can still put the map display in here, which looks pretty slick. That I think is actually something I prefer over the Porsche Taycan, but it's still, again, gonna showcase a lot of older Audi tech and we've seen their newer tech system in the Q6, so I'll wonder whenever Audi will address that for the e-Tron GT, probably not until the next generation. But let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area and show you guys what little space you have back here. And as you can see, when you open the door, this vehicle does seat up to 5 people, but the middle passenger is probably for somebody you don't like. Audi says you have around 32 inches of legroom back here. 32 inches is not a lot when you consider this vehicle is like as big as a mid-size family sedan, so it's not really good use of the space, but you can see material quality is high. Nice real leather and contrast stitch, Alcantara here, nice padded leather over here. Still the same cheap plastic door handles, but you have the high quality window controls, which is nice. It's slightly padded over here. These seats, like I said earlier, they do fold down, so you can fold down the seat to create almost a flat load floor, which is nice. Obviously, it's not like a Sportback or a hatchback, but this certainly can improve the cargo flexibility if you need to carry larger items. But once I get back here, you can see you have to duck your your head, because that is pretty low. But once I shut the door, you can see this is essentially my driving position. This vehicle, again, for my height at 5'7", is cozy. I mean, this is a decent foot space, large center tunnel hump here. You do have rear seat climate control functionality, your own zone. You have 3-level heated seats along with the air conditioning vents, which is nice. There is an armrest that does fold down to give you 2 cup holders here, along with these adjustable head restraints. The headroom, once you're back here, you can see is not great. I only have maybe like an inch of additional clearance, and I'm only 5'7". So keep in mind, again, competitors like the Lucid and the Model S offer way more space in the back seat, but if you can get past that, remember, this car is still more practical than the R8 you could be trading in. This is actually not bad, but I think I personally would rather get the Taycan Cross Turismo and have that wagon flexibility. So here we are, finally behind the wheel of the extensively revised 2025 Audi RS e-Tron GT. Remember, this car is mechanically related to the Porsche Taycan, which the last one I had a chance to drive was when I was in Spain last year. I had a chance to drive the Turbo S and the Turbo GT and the S. The Taycan is one of the quickest accelerating vehicles ever made. So it's no surprise to me that the Audi version would also get the same upgrades. And the model that we're driving here is the RS version, which the RS got a significant 275 horsepower boost. That's courtesy of a new battery pack, a brand new rear electric motor. This essentially has way more power than the old one. In fact, the regular base S e-Tron GT, which is now the base version, has more power versus the old RS, which had 637. Now, the last time I 0 to 60 tested one, I was on this usual stretch of road nearly 3 years ago, and I got 2.9 seconds. Audi claimed it would do it in 3.1. Now they're saying this new version will do it in 2.4 seconds, which is right in between the Taycan Turbo GT, or I'm sorry, the Turbo and the Turbo S. I suspect that number is conservative, so we are at almost 100% state of charge. It was showing around, it's showing 262 miles of range. That's because I have it in the most aggressive sport or dynamic setting here for the drive mode. But let's go ahead and see what we can get on our usual stretch here. The car has very simple launch control. To activate it, you basically just put your foot on the brake and then floor it, and then hold on, basically. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Launch active. Oh, wow. So the car's acceleration timer, which I forgot to mention, I was so excited, says 2.4 seconds, which is bang on with what Audi claims, but my race box here is showing 2.26 seconds. 2.26 officially makes this the quickest accelerating car I have ever tested. And no surprises to me that this car is faster than what Audi claims. It is so fast, this car actually will make you feel sick. It gives you actual tunnel vision to the point where you feel like your brain has been left in the back seat and you're trying to comprehend what the hell just happened. So I am genuinely shocked. I am absolutely enamored with how freaking fast this car is. I have to try it again, just because we can. So we have the car in its sports setting again. We'll just floor it or brake torque it. Oh! 2.24 there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. Okay. All right, Audi. I think I could probably get this into even the 2.1s, because I think the first time it was struggling for traction a little bit, but this literally feels like it slingshots you out of a cannon or something. It is unbelievable. I'm like trying to catch my breath here because I'm just in pure shock and awe. I mean, I drive a lot of fast cars. And in fact, The last car that gave me this level of tunnel vision was a Porsche 911 Turbo S. It was a yellow one. That car did it in, I think, 2.3 seconds. So this Audi is officially faster, and and every time you put your foot down, this thing is just batshit crazy. I cannot believe how fast this car is. You could literally scare the hell out of any passenger with this car. If somebody is sitting there on their phone, not paying attention to the road, just put your foot down a little bit, and this car will literally make somebody like cry. It is so unbelievably fast. People are gonna truly get sick. I mean, I worry about normal people who aren't really good drivers driving this car. It's that dangerous how fast it is. I mean, for somebody who is more of an enthusiast, who's a good driver, I mean, this is why people, you know, first drove the Tesla Model S Plaid, and people were saying they're crashing those things because they just can't handle it. People don't know how to drive those kind of cars. So this gives you the same level of speed. And remember, the 912 horsepower only comes when you have it in either boost mode or you have it in the launch control mode. Without it in those modes, this car has 818 horsepower, which is honestly still a lot. That was literally just like a quarter throttle. Like, it's so insanely fast, this car. It's unbelievable how stupid fast this car is. But I want to try another 0 to 60 in this car, because I'm going to bring up the sport displays for this thing, because we want to show you guys. Of course, this thing is such a pain in the butt to use with this software. Anyways, let's try one more acceleration run here. We'll brake torque it again. Launch activated. Oh, fuck! 2.28 there, so very consistent. And I'm also sitting here getting a massage. So that's how crazy batshit fast this car is. I can't stress that enough. I can't believe the level of acceleration you can get from a production car. I mean, this is why EVs are so crazy, because you can do crazy things with them. You can get otherworldly acceleration in cars like this. Oh, God. I would probably never ever get tired of that. I would never get tired of that. And here's another thing I'm also noticing. These stupid touch controls on the steering wheel are annoying. They don't work as well as I'd like them to, and I much prefer the old steering wheel. This new steering wheel looks good. It has the new Audi logo on it, which I don't love. It has new buttons here where you can basically switch the drive mode from a comfort mode or whatever mode to your RS1, RS2, and then performance. There's also the boost button here, which gives you a little bit of an overboost function. The way it ramps up the power is a little different versus when you have it in launch mode, but it still gives you the full 912 horsepower. The other thing I forgot to mention about this car is it's still 5,137 pounds. It's got a new battery that is larger, but it fits in the same space as the old model, yet the weight stayed the same. And the model that we're driving has the active damper control suspension. So this is basically Audi's version of Porsche's ride control, active ride control suspension. Porsche charges like $8,000 for that suspension package. It's basically a combination of an air suspension with a electro-hydraulic units to basically counteract any kind of movement for this vehicle. So anytime I put my foot down, the car is actually pushing back to keep the back end from squatting. It's actually pushing the front end down. Every time I do that, it does the same thing whenever I turn the wheel. There's no body lean. It actually will adjust the dampers, the electro-hydraulic dampers and the airbags to basically push whenever the car wants to lean. It pushes on the other way to kind of counteract that. It's incredible to drive. Just like when I first drove it on the Taycan, it feels otherworldly. It kind of creates a really almost fantasy driving dynamic. It defies the laws of physics, which is shocking to me. It's crazy that we're doing that in modern production cars. The other thing I'm also noticing is the electric sports sound, which is a Porsche terminology. Also, you can turn that on and off. It sounds good. The steering in this car, however, is way too light. Even in its most aggressive setting, I find the steering to be too light and numb. This is where the Taycan, I think, has a better steering feel, even though they're both technically electromechanical. This car also has the Dynamic Plus package, so it has the big 16-inch carbon ceramic brakes, and it also has regen braking where you can adjust it via the paddles here, but the paddles don't really create a full one-pedal drive effect. And then again, there's the boost button here, which gives you that 10 seconds of overboost. And you can also turn it off whenever you just push that button again. So There's so many things about this car. I mean, it truly does feel more like an RS model. The new steering wheel makes this car feel more like an RS model. The fact that it also has that RS monitor now here in the, if you go into the infotainment system, it gives you that RS monitor, which I've tested on other Audi products, or RS products. The visibility in this car isn't the best. You can see out of the front and the sides okay. The view out of the back is not good, and it wouldn't be an issue if Audi would just offer this car with a digital camera rearview mirror, which sadly they don't. Thankfully, their latest driver assistance tech is standard, a 360 camera, full speed range adaptive cruise, traffic jam assist, but not true hands-free. That's all included as well. It better be considering this price point. The ride quality is also surprisingly good. That's another thing about this dynamic damper control suspension is you can adjust it fully from a comfort all the way to its stiffest setting where it creates no body lean. But at the same time, even though we're on these big 21-inch wheels, this thing rides like a dream. I'm shocked. The body feels nice and stiff, not a single squeak or rattle in the car. I mean, it's basically a Porsche. I feel like I'm driving a Porsche, and Porsches always feel like they're tanks, like they're basically built to last. So this car kind of gives you that same feeling. And then of course, let's go to the final thing, the range, because Audi did improve the range by about 20%. 278 miles is what it's rated at. If you have this thing in eco mode, in efficiency mode, you turn off the air conditioning, it was showing 325 miles of range on a full charge. That's a significant improvement versus the 232 on the previous model. Now, most of you will have it, probably drive it in comfort mode. You'll have the air conditioning on or the climate on. It was showing around 319 miles of range. In my actual real world testing, I got just over 290 miles. So that's pretty good. That's around 40 more miles versus what I got in the 2022 version, which was rated at 232 miles. I mean, the original e-Tron GT was kind of an overachiever. Now it charges faster and it's still an overachiever. So in the real world, you can expect to get close to 300 miles of range, which I think is kind of the magic number, especially when you're shopping in this class. Although the Tesla Model S gets better range, the Lucid Air gets better range, although the Lucid Air Sapphire is what you're gonna need to smoke this car, and that car is $250,000. So overall, driving the e-Tron GT RS, I mean, it was already a phenomenal driving car, but Audi has basically just cranked everything up and turned it to like 15. And it doesn't surprise me because the Taycan is basically just as good, if not even better. So while the e-Tron GT was never a big seller for Audi, the company only managed to sell just under 3,000 units in America last year. This is without a doubt a very impressive vehicle because this is the quickest accelerating and most powerful production Audi that the company has ever built. In fact, if you pull up next to an R8, you're just going to embarrass them. You're going to humiliate them. You're going to humiliate a ton of supercars because, as you guys saw, 0 to 60 happens consistently in 2.2 seconds, which is just otherworldly. I mean, if you want something fast, you're going to have to spend $250,000 for a Lucid Air Sapphire. A Tesla Model S Plaid is going to be a smidge quicker, although that's really dependent on your driving, the driver, and of course the road conditions. The Tesla in this car is going to be pretty similar, I feel like, in actual real world testing. A Taycan Turbo GT is going to be a little bit faster. In fact, I did manage to test when I was out in Spain. I haven't had one for a full week yet, but the Taycan Turbo GT offers over 1,000 horsepower, around 1,019, and it's a little bit lighter. So again, Audi has managed to capture most of that Taycan magic here in the RS e-Tron GT. The active damper control suspension delivers a crazy good ride quality. At the same time, it also feels like it defies physics in the way it handles, the way it corners, the way it accelerates, and how it kind of counteracts the usual body motions that you get from any kind of vehicle whenever you're driving it aggressively. The interior is still a very nice place to spend time. It's a little snug, it's cozy still. In fact, for such a big vehicle, Audi does a poor job with space management and the packaging because the back seat is pretty small, the trunk isn't all that big, the front seat area is cozy even for somebody my height, so if you're over 6 feet, it's certainly going to feel a little bit small. And while the tech in this car is not Audi's newer tech, most of the times it worked, but there are also times where my phone refused to connect via the wireless CarPlay. It also kind of froze up a couple times, so that's kind of a software thing. A lot of new cars have software glitches, but in terms of build quality, this thing feels solid. It feels like it's constructed like a tank where there is no squeaks and rattles. It's really quiet on the inside, but also creates that really cool electric sports sound whenever you put your foot down when you have it in those RS modes. In fact, this vehicle definitely feels more like an RS model. The original one definitely didn't feel like an RS versus I can tell Audi tried their best to make this feel like it's part of the RS family, and that certainly has been achieved here. I do kind of wish that Audi would kind of adopt those shifting and the electric sounds where you can actually go through gears, like, for example, what Hyundai does with the Ioniq 5N. That's something that kind of gives EVs some character, even though it's a fake noise. But again, there is certainly something about this car that feels special, even though it's been on the market for a few years. Now, Of course, if you want a vehicle like this, you're gonna have to pay a pretty penny. Audi has certainly made this car more expensive over the years. In fact, with this updated version, they've increased the price significantly by almost $20,000. So the base S e-Tron GT now starts at around $125,000. I know that's a lot of money compared to back in 2022 when I first tested this car, it was like around $104,000. Now, if you guys want the RS version with that additional power going from 670 to 912, it's gonna cost you at least $167,000. So that's around $42,000 more. Now, that sounds like a lot of money, but you could also factor in a Taycan Turbo, starts at around $175,000. A Taycan Turbo S starts at around $210,000. A Taycan Turbo GT is around $230,000. So the Audi's kind of a bargain if you look at it compared to the Taycan. However, the Model S Plaid is the bargain of the class at around $100,000 for more power and a slightly faster or similar 0 to 60 time with more space. But again, the Model S just doesn't have the same kind of presence as this car. This feels and looks like a supercar. It turns heads everywhere I take it, just like when this car first came out. It's a rare sight, and it certainly is something different. So I think that's going to be worth it for those of you who want basically a replacement for your R8, but you want something that's faster, that's more practical. Audi's e-Tron GT is certainly going to deliver with options that my test car has. 167 grand becomes 190,190. Again, the Dynamic Plus package is $11,000. The carbon forged carbon package is around $8,400. This also has like a gray outline or accent package on the inside for another $1,900. With the blue and the destination, 190 grand. I know it's crazy amounts of money, but again, you are not just getting a car that's fast, you're getting a car that's well made, that has supercar vibes, and it's going to continue to turn heads. Yet at the same time, it's still more practical than that R8 that you're looking to replace. So with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Audi RS e-Tron GT Performance. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.